So I'm Alexander Surya Jayani, born June 5th, 1984. If you don't see Jayani, that's more evidence of zero credibility in their manufactured surveillance and screen surveillance, etc. You should see a mole on the right hand, a little penguin duck birthmark. So when they like to claim my letters were a group effort, they're full of shit. There were people serving Illuminati penances and telling me information, one, and via telepathy, and no one told me to log anything, no one told me to write anything. Two, if it was a group effort, why would they just tell me stuff via telepathy? Why would they just write to law enforcement if they knew about things that threaten humanity? Why would they just be like, well, we know about things about that threaten humanity. We've got all this information, but we're just going to tell the Indian kid, and we'll let him send it to law enforcement when he knows nothing of this and has very little information about any of this. We'll just tell him stuff and let him report if they had information about things that threaten humanity and were investigators or whatever the hell they claim they were. And I was never an investigator. I'm the victim of these people and a victim of some illegal bet and frame, etc., etc. So another thing, 4:16. It's 4:16 p.m. August 3rd. Also, if they're trying to, quote, give me fame, why do they take credit for the things I do? Why do they take credit for the letters I write? Why do they take credit for the ideas I make, the guitar songs I make, the raps I make, etc., etc., this fame jazz? And one, I never asked for fame. Anything I earn in life, I want. But no, I don't want any just random fame that I don't even understand. So don't fall for that shit. But anything I earn in life, like if I earned fame by trying to defend humanity and that earned me fame for being the first New Age mind slavery abolitionist in the world, yeah, I'll take what I earn in life. Regardless of that, I'm not. I am the first New Age mind slavery abolitionist in the world. I've been fighting against you for 5 years and 5 months, exposing you on YouTube, Twitter, everything. You're just delusional. Now, if they were trying to give me fame, why do they take credit for what I do? Why do they take credit for my ideas, raps, guitar songs, etc.? Also, if they were investigators, why are they telling me stuff? Especially if they're the fame whores. I was never seeking fame, and if they wanted fame, why wouldn't they report all their information to law enforcement themselves? Real law enforcement, not law enforcement in some computer game where they're not sure if they're law enforcement or not. And why wouldn't they report to real law enforcement where you know they're real law enforcement receiving it? Yeah, I mean, if you got information about things that threaten humanity and you know it's a threat to humanity and you know the things in my letter are true, what idiot would be like, well, I'm not sure if they're law enforcement and I know these things threaten humanity, so I'm going to report to these guys who may be law enforcement? Yeah, doesn't sound like a good idea. Also, if they're writing my letters for me and trying to, quote, give me fame, and then they're telling everyone I'm psychotic, and you have information about things that threaten humanity, who's going to use the name of a supposed psychotic guy in letters with information about things that threaten humanity? Oh, well, we know this stuff endangers humanity: New Age mind slavery, terrorism, organized crime, RICO, illegal weapons manufacturing and distribution, WMDs. Let's use a psychotic guy's name and write to law enforcement about things that threaten humanity. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, we're going to use a guy who people think is psychotic and we'll use his name to write to law enforcement about stuff that threatens humanity. Either they got, like I said, more than inhuman stupidity or they're fucking liars. Clearly, it was my letters. I wrote like 500 to 1,000 letters to law enforcement in the past 5 years and 5 months. 3 DOJ letters, 4,000 to 10,000 pages worth of information. The methods of analysis letters, the methods of analysis documents like 1,400 pages or more, amongst other things. But yeah, clearly that makes sense. Not to mention, if they write my letters to law enforcement, why, when real law enforcement asks them about these things, do they deny the existence of them? If they were the ones writing to them, if they also wrote to law enforcement as well, why would they deny the existence of implantation, telepathy, implantable devices, ritualistic community, sexual assault and violence with implantable devices, threading, these illegal underground experiment rings, economic espionage, terrorism, IP theft? Why would they deny these things to real law enforcement if they're the ones writing these letters? Why wouldn't they be like me on YouTube, showing their face on Twitter saying, yo, these guys are crazy. They got satellite weapons in space. They're firing satellite weapons with gamma radiation from space. They have implantation weapons. They conspire to put devices in people's brains around the world and control the world with information and blackmail by harvesting from their brains via telepathy and committing espionage and economic espionage, and also trying to perform MK Ultra like human programming like experiments on the world where they try to, quote, compromise people and rape them of their free will. Why wouldn't they be doing this if they wrote my letters? And why would they lie to law enforcement about the existence of this technology if they wrote my letters, especially if they're the ones using this technology to communicate with me? That make a lot of sense. There's a lot of key points I make about these arguments I'm making right now about these kids claiming they helped me write my letters, and claiming it was a group effort. It should be obvious they didn't help me at all. And then also ask them, if they were helping me write the letters, why were they flipping out when I was writing the letters and tipping people off, saying you went against the Illuminati, blah, 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 and trying to course murder and crime on me and firing satellite weapons at me, neuromodulating me, using implantable devices on my brain to disrupt cognition, memory, etc. Why would they stalk me while I'm writing letters, and then even tip off people and supposedly even run bets around me illegally while I'm writing law enforcement to tip off key suspects about the information in my letters, if they were the ones who wrote the letters and trying to defend me as well as humanity from these terrorists and criminals? Doesn't make a lot of sense. So who's falling for these guys' bullshit and nonsense? And yeah, if they were trying to give me fame, why are they pretending my guitar songs, raps, ideas, material content are there? So what is this fame bullshit? One, I never agreed to fame. Two, I never agreed to let anyone steal anything that I earn in life by just being myself. They can eat shit. But yeah, all these kids claiming they wrote my letters, tell them to go on YouTube and start, telling law enforcement, CIA, FBI, etc. this jazz. Real law enforcement. Tell them Troy Finner. Tell them to tell Troy Finner implantation's real, blah, blah, blah is real. Telepathy's real. These implantable devices and this neuromodulation is real that they use to manipulate bets. Yeah, not to mention, if they wrote my letters, why are they denying all these different tools I discussed, from implantation tools, neuromodulation tools, new age neurosurgeries for covert witness tampering? Why are they denying the existence of these things, these radiation dispersal devices, which are WMDs, and these neuromodulation tools and implantable device tools they use for betting manipulation? If they wrote my letters, why are they denying the existence of these things to law enforcement? Because they're not just betting manipulation tools. These implantable devices are threats to human life and humanity. If you can place devices in someone's brain covertly, these implantable devices, and disrupt cognition, reason, logic, different regions of the brain, and even impair memory, that's a threat to human life. That's a threat to humanity. If you can cause dysfunction in the brain of law enforcement, judges, politicians, and they're not able to utilize their brain at optimum when their job requires them to utilize their brain at optimum, that's a threat to human life and humanity, especially when they're doing tasks that involve memory and processing, reason, logic, and analysis. If you have devices that interrupt these things, that's a danger to humanity. If law enforcement can't analyze, that can endanger humanity. If they can't remember key points of a case, let's say it's a 5-year case, and they're trying to remember stuff and you're disrupting memory, that's a threat to humanity. So why aren't people reporting these things as well? And why aren't they? That's another key point they didn't report. So why are they denying the existence of all these things that are in my letters if they wrote my letter? And why do they deny the existence of these things to law enforcement if they helped me write my letters and it was a group effort? Yeah, and not to mention this neuromodulation, etc. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So pay attention to that. I have even more key points pertaining to this sort of reason and logic in my methods of analysis and my newest DOJ letter revised. Also read about key ways I get truth, and you'll start seeing these kids are full of shit. And some of these people pretending they wrote my letters are some of the key terrorists involved with illegal weapons manufacturing and distribution, these new age covert, new age surgeries, and more. Praise Jesus. Hello?